Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video. It's hard to believe, but December 27th, 2022 marks 20 years since I filmed my very first train, thus beginning my now 2-decade-long passion for documenting trains on video. I've done so many special video projects over the years, I figured it might be fun to do something a little different for this occasion. When I first started filming, and even for the first few years I was posting to YouTube, I used a mini DV magnetic tape camera to capture trains on video. At one time, this kind of video equipment was very popular for home movies, but has now been replaced with memory card-based media. As both a nod and a unique comparison to my earliest days of filming trains, I decided it would be fun to spend a day back in San Diego, California to film some present-day train action on one of these old mini DV cameras. My trusty Panasonic PV-GS83 tape camera has been out of commission for a number of years, so I purchased a second one used and went out to the tracks on September 20th, 2022 to catch some trains at some of my old favorite spots in San Diego County. I started off my day at Cannon Road in Carlsbad. This was a crossing I went to many times over the years. While the area looked similar to how it did in years prior, a second main track was added through the crossing and into downtown Carlsbad as part of a larger track capacity expansion project across the region. Another notable change was the loss of the well-recognized Encinas power plant located to the northwest of the crossing. The smokestack from this structure could be seen from miles away in years past, but was finally removed in early 2022 as part of the decommissioning of this plant. I had just enough time to set up the tape camera, my Canon XF400, and my iPhone for video before northbound coaster train 629 flew by behind a 2-year-old Siemens SC44 Charger locomotive. With the coaster train through, I continued my journey south to another location I used to frequent. Encinitas Station was opened in 1995 with the launch of coaster commuter train service. The station and surrounding area appeared much as it did 2 decades ago. In the distance, above the downtown area, the deep blue Pacific Ocean was visible, shining in the late summer sun. Amtrak Pacific Surfliner Train 573 flew through Encinitas. These trains run with cab control cars leading northbound out of San Diego and locomotives southbound into San Diego. I had just enough time to grab a quick lunch before heading to one of my all-time favorite spots in San Diego County, the Del Mar Cliffs. This classic scene has been featured in countless photos and videos of the rail line. I could stare endlessly at the whitecaps as the blue Pacific rumbled over the sands of the beach below. This area, while incredibly scenic, has been subject to a series of landslides putting the rail line in jeopardy. As a result, there has been an increased push in recent years to reroute the tracks in a 3-mile-long tunnel under Del Mar and away from the ocean. At the time of my visit, projections for when this realignment would be completed were still more than 10 years into the future. Shortly before noon, Coaster 631 passed by. Perhaps the biggest changes I saw on this day were to the trains themselves. For 2 decades, F40 and F59 locomotives were used almost exclusively for coaster and Pacific Surfliner trains. In 2022, Siemens Charger locomotives had nearly completely replaced their predecessors as motive power for passenger trains in San Diego County. The only 2 holdouts were coaster F59's 3001 and 3002, which were scheduled for retirement in May of 2023 as of the making of this video. In addition to achieving lower diesel exhaust emissions, the chargers are also significantly quieter when compared with older equipment. About 10 minutes later, southbound coaster train 632 passed by with the same set I saw earlier on train 629. Starting in 2021, Coaster scheduled 15 round trips on normal weekdays, requiring a total of 5 train sets. 2021 also marked the debut of the new Coaster Charger locomotives, replacing the 5 F40 PHM-2C types and the rollout of a new paint scheme. I quickly made my way down to the Sorrento Valley Coaster Station to catch northbound Surfliner train 777 bound for San Luis Obispo. Sorrento Valley Station was another spot that I often visited over the years. It has been a popular location for many of the local San Diego rail enthusiasts to watch trains, at least in part because of the large Interstate 5 overpass, which creates an interesting reverberation effect as trains sound their horns for the Sorrento Valley Boulevard grade crossing. Normally, trains 777 and 768 make a scheduled meet at this section of double track in Sorrento Valley. However, train 768 was running about 20 minutes late on this day, and the dispatcher sent train 777 through to Solana Beach. After a little more waiting, train 768 finally showed up behind California state-owned Charger locomotive number 2114. Train 768 was through, and so I headed back north on I-5 to Cardiff. I stopped at this little section of track parallel to Pacific Coast Highway through Cardiff that I had been to more times than I could count over the last 2 decades. With relatively easy parking and a great view of the rail line, this spot was one of my favorites. Running much closer to on time, train 572 came south as it approached the next stop in Solana Beach. .572 had gone through, and so I drove south on Pacific Coast Highway to Del Mar. As I was setting up, Coaster Train 633 caught me by surprise as it raced north to Oceanside. The trestle across the San Dieguito Lagoon was another favorite spot of mine. In 2022, this was one of only 2 large wooden trestles still standing on the Los Angeles to San Diego rail corridor, scheduled to be replaced in the not-too-distant future. Earlier on, I frequently liked to video trains from a 3/4 angle close to the end of the bridge. More recently, I have opted for some of the perpendicular, broadside views that offer a better view of the Del Mar Fairgrounds and racetrack. However, in the spirit of recreating the past, I chose to catch southbound Coaster Train 634 from my old favorite spot. The train sported an interesting mix of advertising wraps. Ad wraps first appeared on coaster trains back in 2012. Train 634 was through, and so I continued back south to the Los Penasquitos Lagoon and Torrey Pines. The marsh is a protected wildlife refuge. McGonigal Road, leading to the parking lot at Torrey Pines North Beach, crossed under the only bridge lettered for the coaster on the line between Oceanside and San Diego. The previously seen, late-running Pacific Surfliner Train 768 was turned in San Diego to become a slightly less late train number 581. Train 581 rolled across a cement bridge through the marsh that replaced an older wooden span in 2016. With 581 through, I quickly backtracked to the old Del Mar Surf Station to just barely see Coaster Train 636. Aside from electronic wayside horn devices installed at the crossing replacing the sound of actual train horns, very little has changed around Del Mar Surf Station in the last 20 years. I would frequently come to this spot after school and on the weekends to watch coaster and Amtrak trains roll by, along with the occasional BNSF freight. Running a little late, Surfliner Train 774 followed Coaster 636 south past the former Santa Fe Station, which was replaced with the Solana Beach Station in early 1995. After Del Mar, I went south to pay a visit to the Old Town Transit Center. This was one of my favorite places to watch trains many years ago. Even before I started filming, I would come to Old Town in the afternoon with my parents to watch the Amtrak San Diegans fly through with the old F40PH locomotives and single-level Amfleet cars. Fun memories from years ago. After I got my first video camera in 2002, I would regularly go to Old Town after school on Friday afternoons to catch the coaster commuter train rush. Many of my earliest videos were filmed at this station. A few things have changed in Old Town, although the station and platforms here look largely unchanged from years ago. Now back in 2022, Coaster Train 637 made a stop at Old Town. Charger Locomotive 5001 brought the train into the station. Not more than a minute or two after Train 637's departure, San Diego-bound Train 638 came to a stop. This train featured a mix of cars painted in both the new and the old coaster schemes. Shortly after, a late-running Amtrak train 785 arrived into Old Town. In years past, only a handful of Amtrak trains stopped at Old Town on the weekends. Eventually, the station was added as a stop for all Amtrak Pacific Surfliner trains in both directions every day of the week. The Surfliner pulled out of Old Town, and I moved a short distance to the south to pay a visit to another one of my old favorites. For years, I have filmed trains at the Noell Street crossing in San Diego. The crossing provided a nice view of northbound trains passing the historic Mission Brewery Plaza located one block to the south on Washington Street. New construction over the years has partially obstructed the view of the old building. Southbound coaster train 640 approached Noell Street with a nice surprise. Coaster F59 PHI locomotive 3001 was pushing the train. As I mentioned previously, this is one of only 2 older locomotives still in service on the coaster. The equipment set used on southbound train 638 that I saw at Old Town returned north as Coaster 639 with the horn of Charger 5002 echoing off the buildings. A Green Line trolley bound for Santee passed by. In the middle of the 3-car set was one of the few Siemens Mobility-built SD100 type cars still operating for the San Diego Trolley in late 2022. It was strange to see the light rail trolley cars that once seemed common relegated to backup and trail-only operation in between newer S70 and S700 cars. F59 3001 returned north with Coaster Train 641 as it began the near hour-long trip to Oceanside. I contemplated continuing south to San Diego's Santa Fe Depot, but instead decided to give chase to train 641 to try to get one more shot of the 3001. I made it to Leucadia with just enough time to spare to set up my camera equipment. Train 641 came through in the fading light with the last remaining bit of the coaster from yesteryear. Since there was another train due through shortly, I waited just a few more minutes to see Coaster Train 646 heading south to San Diego behind cab car number 2302. With the sun gone for the day, I brought my outing to a close. Thanks for joining me for this short trip to see trains in San Diego. It's been a pretty incredible journey over the last 2 decades, and I'm happy you've been able to join me. Here's hoping for many more ahead down the line. In case you're wondering what all these scenes look like on my Canon XF400 camera, I will be releasing a special video on Tuesday, December 27th, featuring all the trains I filmed on this day for comparison. As always, a special thanks to all my supporters on Patreon. If you have any additional questions, comments, or thoughts on this video, let me know in the comments section below. For those of you who are new to the channel, you're always welcome to join by clicking the subscribe button and selecting the Receive All Notifications option by clicking on the bell icon. You can also stop by my other social media pages for even more train and railroad themed content. And remember, there's always a new railroading adventure headed your way every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Time right here on the YouTube channel. That's it for now. Until next time, I'm Mike Armstrong. I'll see you down the line. Thanks for watching.